All right, guys. Hope you had a great week. Let's dive into these charts, man. So again, start with dollar, then we're gonna go into indices. Um, yeah, we're gonna do dollar indices today. So far, again, what we've been expecting has been happening, right? It's calling this thing higher since all the way down here, and we've been going higher. And I mentioned we are gonna trade this fair value gaps here, and also take out these highs. So that's where our focus has been in price, just moving higher. Um, Again, we had a lot of back and forth here. I mentioned last week, there's no need for it to really come back down because, we've offered buying, selling with this wick, then buying, selling again, then now buying again. So this area to me was kind of balanced out. So there's no need for it to really trade lower. But again, we just ran these highs. Next week, start of next week is going to be a new trading month. So we'll see if we want to maybe drop somewhat, then go higher. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna do that. But point is, our focus is on higher prices, right? It's kind of crazy to me because we've had how many days of being, how many weeks? One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 weeks of the market just trading higher. I really wonder what is the record, right, of straight bullish weeks for the dollar. Are we getting to record breaking territories? I don't know. Doesn't really matter, but just really interesting to see for 11 weeks straight. You know, let's kind of get one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 11 straight weeks we've been moving higher. So, and the retracement is ideal, but I don't see where we're going to retrace it based off the weekly chart. I just see us, constantly moving higher. So let's go into the daily chart and see if there's anything here that's intriguing. So, on the daily chart, of course, we have this obvious fair value gap in here. All right, a little opening of price right there. And we also have one somewhat here. So I'm just gonna. So if we happen to retrace at all, I want to see it stay above. Really, it doesn't. I don't think it needs to go below the swing point. Put it that way. If it does, it better be a wick and immediately rejects. So the center line to me is actually this order block here. If we go below that, then I'll shift my stance to see if we want to run out these lows. But I think there's no need. If we go, I don't think we should go below here. If we do go below this candle's low, then the move on dollar could be somewhat problematic. But I just see this thing continuing higher. For our chart, and again, you might be wondering why do we care about the dollar if we don't trade it? It's so important to understand what the dollar is doing. If you're new to trading, you might not understand the necessity of this. I remember when I was trading, um, when I first started trading, I was just focused on the specific pair I was trading, right? Or I was focused on, random pairs like Euro USD and Euro JPY, Euro GBP, and GBP JPY. I had everything on my chart. What you want to do is kind of strip down and narrow down your focus. It's something we have to do as traders. A newer trader will not appreciate it because when you're new to trading and for a good amount of your journey, at least a few, starting years, beginner years, you want to trade every single thing. Thinking that there's so much opportunity, think that that makes you way more productive and profitable, but you're really just taking multiple steps that lead you to a ditch. You want to focus on one market or max two markets that you want to master and just keep doing that. And dollar plays a vital role for the market. Dollar, again, is the king or queen of the markets, right? So the dollar interest rates, you want to pay attention to both of those. But not to get too much into the weeds here. When you're trading, you want to focus on the dollar. If the dollar is going higher, you should expect other asset classes to do the opposite and drop. So anything paired against the dollar likely should drop. The asset classes should drop. So that's why dollar, we have to have so much emphasis on dollar every week and pay attention to what it's doing. And this is something that as a new trader it might go over your head, but it will give you more insights to understand what the market is likely to do in other asset classes. Why is the market moving one way, right? Well, because the dollar's going higher. So that will affect other asset classes. So anyways, for our chart, if we ran lower, we're taking out this low here. I like how we did that there. And let's see if we keep going higher, right, from there. So this is a fair value up here. We'll be watching. See how we interact with it. But I'm not going to have too much stuff on my chart, really. It's going to be probably a quicker breakdown of these charts because, again, the week hasn't started. We're going to a new month. And let's actually look at the economic calendar, see how it's looking. So, yeah, so a lot of news drivers, as you can see. ISM, Monday, Tuesday. So we're going to NFP week. So interesting week ahead of us. NFP week usually is not the best week to trade. You want to get your trades in, between Monday to Wednesday, especially if you're newer. But interesting week. So we'll see how this develops here, right? With all that news coming on, we're going to expect some level of manipulation, NFP for sure. So let's see what happens. But again, our focus is just higher dollar. And I do again like how we did drop lower and immediately rejected. This can turn to a market maker buy model. So everywhere there was previous selling, how we sold in here, how we sold in here. Now we're moving higher. I wouldn't be surprised, or I will expect some type of buying to formulate in the same range where we have previous selling to push us higher, and then expect some type of buying to formulate here in the same range where we had previous selling, and eventually take out these highs. So that's what I'm expecting. It's funny if you look very closely, right? If we focus on from this low to this high, right? This low, this high, and then this high to this low. You can see a market maker. You see we have buying here, then we have selling. So notice again where we bought before previously. Look at how we sold in opposing range. Boom. Where markets bought up again here previously. Look at how we sold in the opposing range. Boom. So I'm expecting the same thing in terms of when we're now going higher, where we sold again. I want to see buying and then see buying here again, and ultimately keep pushing higher because higher time frame says we are still bullish. So you expect the market maker buy model to be more effective when it's in play. So that's what we're really going to watch for, to see if that 1 hour market maker sell model is going to play a role. Now, let's go ahead and get into, and again, another thing I do want to point out here is I know we had a weekly opening gap. This is Tuesday's daily opening gap. We had a weekly opening gap somewhere here. Well, can't find it right now. Sunday, Monday. Can't really find. I think it was maybe right here. But anyways, no worries. Let's see what happens going into next week. But I will expect some buying. I'm gonna stick with expecting a buy model to formulate here on dollar. But I'm really cautious because I know NFP's around the table. It's NFP week next week, so we gotta be careful here. All right, now back to the pairs I love, or what I like to trade. I love trading indices, so S&P and the NASDAQ, and really you want to focus on the contract, the futures contract. So ESZ 2023 is the current contract for the S&P futures. And again, I had to shift from just trading CFDs to CFDs are really over-the-counter trading. The futures market is the real market. So more accurate, more precise when you're looking at smart money concepts. So what I do like to see, first thing I want to point out is I love how we've closed just to be outside of this fair value gap here. So to me, that means, and it's on a monthly basis, we're, it would be surprising. I mean, not surprising, but it'll be interesting to see if we can gravitate towards here on a monthly basis. So I like that idea of us trading below May's low. So let's see if we get below 150 going forward. But let's really go to the weekly chart, see if that really adds up. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll be expecting for sure. So we have quite a bit of a range to go, and then we have this volume imbalance here. So maybe this is what stops the market from continuously moving lower. Like if we get here, trading here, then maybe we can start moving higher. This is way that's way ahead of the the future, but just I would expect this low and this volume balance to give some type of pushback when the market gets there. But yeah, I think May's lows are definitely in the books. At least that's what I'll be looking at. And again, I remember how I told you guys I am expecting the same way we had this inversion fair value gap here. And it's just me repeating stuff, but so the same way we drop lower and again overlap these up close candles. So this becomes an order block. These last consecutive 3 candles become an order block. And we have an inversion fair value gap. So 2 things here that we like. And then the market, if you draw a fib from this high to this low, we traded higher above 50% of it. So that puts us in a premium. So we trade higher into the inversion fair value gap and then drop off. So now what I like to see is the same idea happen with these last 2 up close candles, right? And we also have an inversion fair value gap here. So if we are to, let's just say next week, trade higher in here, that's great. I would expect this to then act as some type of resistance. Maybe we even hit the high end of this monthly fair value gap and then keep on dropping lower. My eyes aren't moving from sales unless we get above these last 2 up close candles, and I just don't see that happening. So let's even draw this out some more. We do have this fair value gap now that we got to contend with. I'm just going to draw this right here. Solid block. And then also, again, back to why, look at this volume balance here. And that was this little pushback we got towards the end of the week. Or for, see how the market's kind of pushed back a little bit. So I won't be surprised this offers some type of move here to then eventually still sell off. Let's go to daily chart. I'm just going to shade this area in green. Maybe here. Got that daily fair value gap right there. Daily fair value gap. So we're going to see how we want to move going forward. So also a fair value gap in here I'm watching. But I don't have too much stuff in my charts. I think if we make our way above this fair value gap, however, if we make our way above it, then we easily are going to push into. I'm personally expecting some type of, we just have to have some. We don't have to, but at least, let's get a little bit pushback, man, by the bulls or the algorithm. Let's kind of push a little higher here than drop. So I'm watching to see if that happens, but I'm still focused here. push. If we don't move higher, then cool. But I am expecting something of that nature to occur. I just think too many people are short. Everyone's shorting, and I think it makes sense to at least run out all of this consolidation here. So ideally, I'm gonna watch to see if we climb out of that daily fair value gap and then push up higher into this fair value gap here. Then I will expect some type of, sell off to occur. One thing I would like to mention is, on so if you look closely here, this week we really just consolidated. This is the start of the week right here. Notice, it really just dropped here and then came back. Really sort of a consolidation here. But what was more interesting, notice these highs here on NASDAQ, we actually ran that out. So that was interesting seeing this, when NASDAQ ran this out, S&P failed to do the same. That's why I was short last week on Friday, because of that major SMT between NASDAQ and E-mini S&P. And we had that drop here, taking out these lows. But I think we could still muscle back up above here. And it's NFP week. I think they're going to have to clear some type of, buy side liquidity, especially being that the market has been dropping all for the, past like 2 weeks or something. I think we need to take out some type of buy side liquidity before we kind of go lower. That would be my expectation. So I do like how we ran below here. I just know what's going to happen in terms of when we're going to start going higher. But just wanted to point out the difference between NASDAQ and S&P, how NASDAQ actually around these highs that then gave us a reason to expect a sell-off to occur in S&P because it was too weak to even do it. All S&P was able to do is trade into this 1 hour fair value gap in here after clearing these highs. And then we saw it drop. So good stuff on S&P. And then one thing we can keep track of as well is this opening gap here. And let's watch this going into next week to see if this wants to offer any type of support if we make our way higher. So again, don't get it twisted. I'm expecting bearishness on S&P, but I'm just expecting also a bounce to occur. And also look at how beautiful markets interact with this level and then dropped. You'll see when clearing on the 15-minute, you kind of see what it really did on the 15-minute. So just beautiful. Now let's go into the last pair we're going to cover today, the NASDAQ. Okay. The NASDAQ, I already got a couple things on my chart. So again, same thing like S&P. We've closed below on a monthly basis. It's fair value gap. We still have this huge fair value gap to kind of consider in here. The shade areas are coming from, of course, a weekly chart. So let's get into that weekly chart real quick. So on a weekly basis now, what we have is this fair value gap here. We also have this fair value gap here. To be quite honest, I'm also looking at this inversion fair value gap, but I don't want to have too much stuff on my chart. So I think ultimately we go here, and maybe to the low end of this monthly fair value gap, and maybe around these lows, like how S&P, like what I'm expecting the S&P. But notice we've created a weekly fair value gap here, so it'll be interesting to see if we want to again trade into that, then give us a drop off. So I'm really watching that very closely. On a daily chart, we also have a daily volume imbalance here that we can likely trade into as well to sell off. But again, overall, just sticking to bearishness, watch and see if we can have any short-term type of retracement just because we've been dropping. And I think it's about time for them to at least run out somewhat of the sellers. And again, look at how NASDAQ did run out that consolidation and then trade it. I think it's into a fair value gap right here and immediately reject it. So we'll see if this wants to kind of find its way higher again, then give a more solid sell off. Yeah, I think it makes sense because people are going to see this as maybe a supply zone, and I don't really buy that theory. Where it's a high right here that formed, and now we have another one that kind of formed. So here it looks like resistance. I won't be surprised if they push price really higher, taking out this high as well, and then maybe into this fair value gap. I mean, volume imbalance on daily and somewhere in here, and then make the real sell off. So OC is also interested to notice that we have created somewhat of a short term low, you can say. We have a low here, a swing low here, a swing low here, swing low here. We also have another swing low here, swing low here. So it's a nice structure in place for us to kind of continue higher. So I would expect that going into next week, but ultimately I'm waiting for that drop. I'm looking very closely for the drop. So hopefully that was helpful for you. If you love watching this video, like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I want you guys to have a great day, and let's look forward to having a great week. Talk to you next time.